Okay, folks. So today I thought I'd do a mini kind of review and some other suggestions. So 2 weeks ago, we were exploring the developing lung capacity, and a lot of that was around work around the diaphragm, finding space for the diaphragm. So some of the moves we did were designed to support that. I've given you a video last week, I think, to sort of work on ways that you can do that without the muscle release ball that we used. So you've got that hopefully to get greater ease through the breath, greater ease through the movement of the diaphragm muscle. So you may have also been doing your breathing work, your coherent breath. So hopefully you found your own way of getting into routine for that. So it might be that you do it every morning, that you do it just before you go to bed, that whatever kind of works for you, that you've kind of got a pattern maybe. If you haven't, then it's an opportunity to start to think about that, recognizing that the breath work is kind of like so, can be potentially so beneficial for things like stress relief, improving sleep, reducing inflammation, all sorts of levels, and also supporting you with performance if you're doing running, or to maintain your health and well-being while running. So all these things are designed around health and well-being. So next, at the end of the month, I'll just do another bit of breath practice around box breathing. So you have a second breathing practice to add. Some of you are breathers anyway, and you have your own sort of resources. So keep with those if you can, or review those and add them to what you're already doing. If you're doing the 3 minutes, and you've really got into doing the 3 minutes a day of the coherence breathing, which is like 6 seconds, 5 to 6 seconds breathing in, 5 to 6 seconds breathing out, then you could add time by, you could go from 3 minutes to 5 minutes if that seems workable in your own schedules, really. Okay, so one of the things that can be restrictive for lung capacity is restricting the diaphragm. So we can restrict it that way by collapsing in the center and closing down opportunities for the diaphragm to operate this way, or we can flare out the front of the rib cage and trap the diaphragm at the back. So a lot of that, some of it is kind of like a posture issue. There's things like that we collapsed at the front of the body. So there might be times that we do that. The people that tend to flare out tends to be something going on in the pelvis. So those tend to be people with more of an arch back. I'm not particularly lower arch in the back, but some of you might be. So what can be helpful is to stand, just have a little bit of looseness at the back of the knees. So it's not necessarily a bend, but it's certainly a softness at the back of the knee. And then we use the pelvic bowl to tip water, imaginary water, out at the front and out the back, so that we can get this rocking motion going, so that we can try our best to re-pattern that pelvic positioning. So if we're stuck down here or we're stuck up here, we can start to kind of learn to find a more equal balanced place. If we find the pelvis in a balanced place, we're more likely to find the rib cage in a balanced position. So you can do an in-breath as you tip the water out the front, and out breath as you tip through the back. So that slows it down. What you're looking for here is smooth movement of the pelvis. pause. So just feeling what's going on in the pelvis, whether you still feel you're rocking forward or rocking back, or whether you feel like you may have got a little bit more neutral, parallel to the ground in the hips there. Let the shoulders relax down. Let the breath just come back naturally. Okay, so just looking out for the flaring issue in the rib cage, it's quite crucial. You know, we kind of can get into sort of the nose breathing, you know, really paying attention to keeping our breath through our nose as much as we can. But then we cannot be thinking about other areas of the body that create problems in that ability to breathe deeply. So the lung capacity is often about being able to breathe more deeply down lower into the lungs. We get older, much older, then we often are only using a very small amount of the lungs to actually breathe there. So we really need to manage as many different parts as we can. That's going to give us much better opportunity to breathe well. Okay, so there's doing a breathing practice to improve your well-being. There's checking out on what's going on in terms of your rib cage in relation to your pelvis, so that you're not restricting the diaphragm at all. And then there's other ways to bring greater opportunity for space for breathing. So those are more kind of like rhythmic movements. So some of you might like the resting movements, some of you might prefer more of the kind of rhythm and flow movements. So we'll just do a couple of rhythm and flow movements that you can do. So this time we're going to have the feet quite wide with the toes turned out. And we're just going to give weight from one side to the other side for a moment. And then we're going to bring in one arm. So I'm going to choose, in terms of the mirror image, my left arm, and I'm going to sweep up, and I'm going to bend the knee this way. I'm going to sweep up. So it's bent knee as it comes down, and then I straighten that one. But that means the other knee does the opposite. So bends, and now it bends as I take the arm up, and it straightens as I bring the arm down. So one leg does one, and the other leg does the other as we go up to find some space. So you get your rhythm, and it's also useful to really push from that foot that's kind of working to open out the opposite side of the body. So it's a push movement, and get a little bit more work to go over. So we're in the side body. Just create a little bit of space, but that's come very much from work through the leg. It's come from our relationship to the ground as we push off, and then we yield back to the ground, and then we push off, and then we yield, and then we push off. So opposite side, so arm swings and goes up, swings and it's up. So any movement you can do that feels kind of safe for the body and gives a little bit more space through movement, and you find your own rhythm. So you don't need to worry too much about specific breathing because you've got the rhythm. So for some people, rhythm is a much easier way to get into releasing the breath. So a couple more. And pausing. So I'm taking my feet more to face towards you, to face towards me. And I'm going to push off literally from that foot and lie back down. So there's some weight there. And push off. So again, there's going to be a little bit of work going here, and the work's more on the foot. Bit of a strong push off there. So then you can let the arms be a little bit more loose as you come down and go up. Down and go up. Up and more. Pause. So then we can go right this side. So here we go. As you come down to give you that support, so that you feel safe. Loosen the arms. So for me, these kind of movements I like to do more in the morning. Just wake the body up a little bit. But some of us are more rhythm people, and some of us are more kind of slow recovery, restful, gets them in a better place. Most of us like a bit of both. And pause, bring the legs back together. Okay, so get breathing practice set up. That's part of your well-being. Start to check what other things might need sorting out in terms of pelvis and its relationship to the rib cage, which might be restricting the diaphragm. Find rhythmic movements that create space down the side body. Twists are also very good to create space and loosen up around the center. And go well. So enjoy what you're doing. Let me know how you're going if you wish to. And I'll do some box breathing with you at the end of the month, just to introduce the second one and remind you about that. And I'll probably do some more movements lying on the ground, just to give you some other options for more restorative processes when we're down to the ground really calms the nervous system down. So those are good when we're very tired or we're recovering from illness and that kind of thing. So I'll do that next time. Right, thank you very much for your time. Happy weekend.